and welcome to Marketing Monday on October 9th. This is a section of the show called Wins and Fails, where we go over all of the wins and the fails in the last week in marketing and business. And this week, we are bringing back some of our favorite, you can call them characters. I'm speaking, of course, of Sam Bankman-Fried, as SBF is currently in the second week of his long-awaited trial for the downfall of his crypto exchange fund, FTX. And now he is on trial, facing, according to the Justice Department, a minimum of 30 years. Now, let me explain sort of what's going on, and wondering if I can even use a simple paint diagram to make this easy. Imagine people, this is you guys, put their money with FTX. FTX took that money and they gave it to Alameda Research, which was Sam Bankman-Fried's old trading company that he gave to his girlfriend, Caroline Ellison. And Alameda Research used that money for a lot of really dumb things. Dumb crypto trades, dumb celebrity endorsements. And then when the customers tried to get their money back, it was gone. But there is a key distinction here. And FTX's argument is this. FTX owed money to many people because they were exchanged. They're not a bank. So they had many customers that used FTX to trade. You, this person right here, are one of them. But Alameda was also one of them, a separate, totally legal, totally normal customer. And Alameda borrowed a bunch of money and lost it. That's not FTX's fault. And then when they wanted to pay everyone back, they couldn't because Alameda was so bad at their job. That is basically FTX's argument. Was like, no. We're not fraudulent. Alameda was just incompetent. For the Justice Department to prove that Sam Bankman-Fried is guilty of actual fraud and not just being a bad business leader, they have to show that he was lying, that what he's saying there is a lie, and that he willfully took customer funds and used them on things that he shouldn't have. Enter a new character, Gary Wang, seen here. Now, Gary Wang is a childhood friend of Sam Bankman-Fried, and they co-founded this business together. For example, from Sam's diary, they met at math camp and they used to sneak out and bake cheesecake brownies together. Then in college, they joined like some sort of, I think, math-based fraternity together. Adam Yedid's there. He's also part of FTX, SBF, Gary Wang, okay? They're all there. They're all nerdy. And they would later go on to together get into crypto and start to found an exchange. Well, flash forward a few years and billions of dollars later, and now SBF is on trial. And it all hinges on whether they can prove that they knew that Alameda shouldn't have had it fraudulent. Now, there's a much more trial coming up, so they're not going to nail it all today. But recently, Gary Wang, who has been somewhat of a shadowy figure, like you rarely see him, very shy, very non-public, took the stand. And again, they're longtime friends. So he would not say something bad about Sam without a reason. He is extremely pivotal to this case. And his testimony was absolutely damning. Basically, fully, 100% that Sam Bankman-Fried knew what he was doing. Here is a transcript of this testimony from Gary Wang. The key thing it's about, all accounts on FTX had the same privileges, except for one account, Alameda Research, which had different privileges, specifically the allow negative privilege, which allowed them to spend money beyond what they had. How did this special allowed negative privilege come about? Sam had asked Nishad and I to add the ability to pay for various FTX-related expenses from Alameda's account. Was Alameda given this special advantage when it was introduced? Yes. As a result of that advantage, could Alameda make unlimited withdrawals from the exchange, even when its account balance was below zero? Yes. Here's the smoking gun. If Alameda's account balance was zero or negative, for example, in Bitcoin, and it used the advantage to withdraw Bitcoin, whose Bitcoin would it be withdrawing? It would be withdrawing customers' Bitcoin. Alameda withdrew or had a negative balance of $8 billion. Is that right? Yes. Was that more than the amount of money that FTX had in revenue? Yes. So then whose money did that $8 billion come from? From customers. And what about the defendant, Sam Bankman-Fried? He did not look at it, but we told him, he asked us to do it, and then we told him we did it. So anyway, this testimony went on and on and on, and basically walked through very plainly. He has openly flipped. What I'm saying is Gary Wang and Caroline Ellison, who is now testifying, have openly flipped, and they have openly taken a deal and are saying, hey, the jig is up. We knew about all of this. It knew it was fraud from the beginning, which means his chances of a defense are getting very slim, especially because Sam Bankman-Fried is a prolific interviewer and tweeter. So every time he tries to say, I didn't know about that, or that wasn't actually a lie, we can find stuff from exactly that time where he has tweets saying the opposite. Alameda is liquidity provider on FTX, but their account is just like everyone else's. Well, it's not, Sam. So now they know they have you publicly lying, which is a very good connection to see that this is probably fraud. Basically, Alameda thought they knew better about crypto investing than they did. The majority of the money lost actually came from them being as dumb as you guys and buying fucking Dogecoin and shit. We're going to follow up on this. We don't know what's going to happen next, but I think it's becoming very clear based on the testimony that SBF is probably going to jail. Speaking of CEOs making absolutely stupid decisions, can we all get an actual marketing win this week for John Riccitello, who is the CEO of Unity, behind their recent absolutely terrible decisions that have caused irreparable damage to the brand of the Unity game engine. He is stepping down immediately as part of a massive backpedal. The backlash against Unity has been so severe, and even after they backstepped on the pricing, there has still been echoes of lost trust, people trying to find new engines to switch to, that they've had to make drastic measures, and John Riccitello has been basically told by the board to step down immediately to see if they can hopefully salvage some of what they had with game developers. To give you some background, if you're not all up to date on this stuff, basically Unity is a game engine. You use that to make games. Game developers use them. And they wanted a piece of that pie because Unity does not make any money. Unity, for the entire term of John Riccitello's leadership, has not profited at all. They have large revenue, they just spend it all. And in fact, I've included a line here that's important. A ton of the reason that Unity is not a profitable company is because they spend $150 million plus on executive compensation for 5 people. For 5 people, including, you know, Carol Carpenter here, senior VP and chief marketing officer, making $32 million a year for a company that is not yet profitable. It's extremely odd that these people are getting paid so much for making decisions like the one they did. Anyway, they had to get profitable because times are getting more tough with interest rates rising. Their first solution was not to cut their pay. It was to do mass layoffs 3 times. And then still, after all that, they decided we're going to do one of the stupidest decisions of all time, which is that they were going to try and charge people per install, which was incredibly stupid, impossible to track correctly, and everyone backlashed. Now, the problem is, even though they've fixed that pricing, the trust is lost. How do I explain that? I use paint again. I use paint. You are a developer, right? Look at you. You're so smart. And you make a game with Unity. And then when it comes out, you get to keep the money. And all you do is you pay generally like a per seat, it's called, which is like per user at your company of the Unity dev program, a fee per month. So depending on the size of your games, you have a big game, you'll pay like $250 per person per month. If it's a smaller game, you pay less. And that was part of their terms of service, which means everyone agreed to it when they started making their game. The problem is not that Unity tried to raise prices. Understand that Adobe is just as evil of a company as Unity is. And Adobe is doing fine. Their stock is up. The problem is they specifically broke everybody's trust because they changed their terms of service secretly and then changed it so retroactively they could charge games already made on an install basis. Now, if you've already made a game with them on an old TOS, you're like, what the fuck? I mean, that ruins trust forever because that means anytime in the future, they could change the rules that you thought you already agreed to. And this guy, John Riccitello, getting rid of him is a good first step because he is a fucking asshole, dude. This is the guy that famously caused FIFA 09 to launch with loot boxes, beginning EA's loot box fucking frenzy. He's the guy who said devs making games without monetization in mind are fucking idiots. And then he is the guy that famously said that we should charge $1 per reload in Battlefield when he ran EA. That's not a joke. I had to look it up to confirm. And he said that's because players are not price sensitive in that moment of intensity. The play first, pay later model works well as they become engaged in the game and be willing to invest money into it. I mean, this guy's a psychopath, and he's part of the reason people are getting so angry at modern games. So getting him out of Unity is a great first step, but it's going to be a while. So big win that he's out, but big fail for them in general. Now I'm going to go to another CEO who's been having some funny issues lately. Linda YAPP-arino, the ostensible CEO of X.com, aka Twitter. Now she was recently at a Vox Media conference talking about her time as CEO and didn't do that great of a job. She was brought on for one reason only, because Elon Musk is not good at talking to advertisers. He scares them, in fact. And she has been going on this media tour to explain that Twitter's actually doing great.
Of the top 100 advertisers have returned to the platform. In the last 12 weeks alone, about 1,500 have returned.
Big ups, Linda. You got all the brands back on Twitter. But the follow-up question is, how much are they spending? Visa, for example, was touted as one of the big brands returning advertisers. Visa, in the last 12 weeks, has spent $10. $10. And she mentioned them by name as a big returning advertiser. Now, in the 12 weeks before Musk bought Twitter, they spent $77.5 grand. So it's a 99.9% decrease, yet she is still claiming that the advertisers are coming back. But the problem is the ad spend is simply not there. As you can see, this is month over month ad spend decline from X.com. Every single month is down year on year. This company is basically about 70 to 80% smaller in terms of revenue and employee size and everything else than it was when it was purchased. And the problem is, as I've mentioned this over and over, in a vacuum, if this is a private company Elon owns and it's not making money, who cares? He's the richest man on earth. But the problem is Twitter has a massive debt bill. They have a $1.2 billion a year debt bill, which averages to about $100 million a month they have to pay in interest. When Elon Musk bought this company, he didn't have all of the money he needed in cash. So he borrowed $13 billion from banks. Now he has to pay interest on that loan every single month. They're having trouble paying that bill. If you're ever wondering, when you go around Twitter and you're wondering, why are they making so many decisions that seem short-sighted for money? Is because they need to raise money now to keep paying these constant interest payments, or the banks will just repossess Twitter. Elon Musk's X is a black hole of value, and the banks might take back the keys to Twitter. The banks have a claim, if this interest stops getting paid, to just repossess, like a repo reaper, the fucking company and then try to salvage it for value. There's a real shot of that. But anyway, the point is, Linda did this interview and she very obviously has not been hearing what Elon Musk has been saying.
Elon Musk just announced a new monthly fee for users.
Yep.
And my question for you is, do you want to start charging all users of X, as he said, and how many users do you think you will lose as a result?
Can you repeat?
Elon Musk announced
It's a bad look when the CEO doesn't know what's happening with the company. When Elon Musk is making claims that he hasn't ran by her. And so she is clearly being presented with this right now live.
Did he say we were moving to it specifically, or is thinking about it?
He said that's the plan.
Yeah.
So did he consult you before he announced?
I mean, this interview was bad. I highly recommend, if you want to see funny business interview, watch the whole thing, because she just wasn't ready for it. But it's funny because it tracks back to their very first interaction together. When she was first announced as CEO, it was done in this tweet by Elon Musk. And this was the first time she heard about it. She had to rush out of a meeting at NBC to explain it to her boss. Her boss saw the tweet and saw that she was quitting before she knew about it. You know, the one cool thing about Twitter, the feature I think they've improved upon since they took over, readers can add community notes, basically like fact checking in real time. And it's actually useful. The only problem is people started to apply it to Twitter's own ads. So this is an Uber ad about driving like an Uber, you're the boss. And then the fact check says it advertises earn like a boss. However, you only earn $11.77 per hour. So obviously, if you're trying to sell ads, you don't want people to pay to get fact checked. Uber's pissed about this. So what did Elon Musk do? They added a new ad format that cannot be reported or blocked. And in fact, they have stripped out all the identifiers that it's an ad at all. The things on the right, these two images on the right, are ads that you can pay for that have no check at all. People can't even tell these are paid, which is so fucked. It makes your experience on the platform so much worse. And yeah, I think you're supposed to have to disclose it, but they don't. So the point is, all of these decisions come from the same place, which is that
You told Sarah you were nearing profitability. How close are you?
Yeah, well, that's so exciting. I'll get back to your first question, but what's so exciting is that from an operating cash flow perspective, we're just about break even.
So they keep saying we're just about. And I love that hand wave. It's not really in this quote, but she mentions that they're just about break even, not including interest expense, which is the vast majority of the cost. They've already cut so many of their actual expenses because he doesn't pay for office bills. He's fired all the employees. They're almost even on the fucking shell game they have left, and they doesn't include their fucking interest expense, which means something's got to give soon. Either they go to all paid or they sell out to the banks or something. If the site stays the same, they cannot afford to keep going. Again, all of this is due to something else. A big cosmic aware moment, win or fail for all of us, is that interest rates are at all-time highs. I don't want to talk about interest rates too much because it gets kind of boring for people and they don't understand it, but essentially it's the government decided cost of money, how much you have to spend when you borrow money. Now, what that means is if you borrow money for a car or for a house, your interest payments are a lot higher. And that sucks for businesses that have gigantic offices that aren't filled, massive debt like Twitter. Their payments get higher and higher. But it also sucks for average people. If you were to buy a $500,000 house in 2021, your payment would be about $2,000. If you buy that same house now, your payment's like $3,300. And what this means is everybody on the left that bought a house before 2021 is locked in to these great interest rates for 30 years. And they are not selling. They will not sell for any reason because they don't want to double their payments. So we're at a point where like housing should probably be going down because nobody can afford it, but nobody wants to sell. So the only way housing can go down is if there's mass unemployment. We have 50% of young people living at their parents, which is higher than the peak during the Great Depression because nobody can afford a house. The monthly cost of a new mortgage is now 42% of the US median income. It's 10% higher than it was to get a mortgage on a house than it was in 2008. Historically unaffordable. And people are responding in weird and outlandish ways because it's like a weird pressure on every single person trying to make a living. And the last time that treasury yields were this high, 06, 07, 07, 07. And what happened right after all this? Nothing. It was perfect. So something's got to give is all I'm saying. What that means is everybody with money is sort of deciding to pull their money out of all of the risky stuff and just put it in these high yielding, high percentage government bonds. And it's called T-bill and chill because you can get guaranteed 5% or more in a government bond that 100% risk free, which is why we saw the Silicon Valley Bank problem earlier and why we're probably going to see more stress in banks because there's so many banks where people are pulling their money out, putting it in T-bills, or they have a ton of money loaned to like commercial real estate, big office buildings that can't get paid back. But I'm giving a win here. Ever since COVID, workers have decided that if they can, if at all possible, they don't want to go to the fucking office. People really want to work from home. We'll return to the office if you pay for the commute and for childcare and for lunch and of course for coffee too. And but you know, that's a long and short way of saying the offices that aren't like nice with some kind of perk or differentiated reason to go in are just floundering. People aren't going. They're finding any reason not to go. And only the higher end offices are still having some people come back into them. And even when they're going back into them, they're doing what's called coffee badging. People are being forced to go back into the office. So what they're doing is they're going back in, they're badging in, getting a coffee, and then leaving. More than half of all hybrid workers are admitting to do that. 58% are saying they're coffee badging, which means the war between workers and corporations are heating up as they try to find out who is doing this. They're starting to track using your badge, not just when you show up, but how long you stay. They're monitoring things like when you print things, when you send emails, when they're like using a complex web to figure out if you're staying long enough, which of course is absolutely eroding employee trust. That's what's happening. This war is going back and forth and it's causing office real estate values to plummet. Speaking of values plummeting, let's talk about the core values of a show called Squid Game. Now, as you guys know, Netflix is launching a real-life version of Squid Game. And I'm going to give them a big win for fully understanding what the show is about. Because they've done two things recently that are very funny. Number one is that there's an inside report that just came out saying the conditions on the show were inhumane. That they actually had to have medics show up multiple times. People were like in sub-zero temperatures hours for 8 hour plus for one of the games. Nobody died to my understanding, but like there was injuries. It was way beyond what you expect when you sign up, and they weren't paid either. All contestants were not paid. So they showed up voluntarily, thought they were on a fun game show, and instead like were tortured basically. They also launched a Squid Game slot machine to join the constant wave of gambling that is sweeping through society. Again, all part of the creator's original plan. And you can tell he loves it because look at this smile here when he found out that he got no residuals and no IP ownership on his very popular show, despite earning $900 million for Netflix. They really got it, dude. They leaned into the dystopia theme of it. So all I want to say on this is give a huge win to Mr. Beast, who did it better. It's so old news, Netflix. Fucking get over it, bro. And with that discussion of Korea, I want to jump over to a different country. Now, normally this is where we talk about China, and I would introduce Xi Jinping to tell you about what's up Beijing. But instead, I have a special announcement today. An entirely different country, an online country, a sovereign national state of the dumbest people. I am presenting a new announcement today for Marketing Monday.
There was an idea to bring together a group of idiotic people so that when Atrioc needed us, we could create the content that he never could. Content so stupid and unfunny that I wrapped all the way around to being funny again. And now he's calling on us once more.
Thank you to Who Dat. We are reopening the Reddit. I have decided that I missed the fun part of the community, and so I'm bringing back the Reddit. If you like to be part of this community, I think it's a fun community. And a huge shout out to Kage and Neg and Who Dat for making that video. Oh, one more bonus. On the Reddit, within a week, for fans who've been asking for a return of the battle report, there may be a surprise. That, of course, is the end of Marketing Monday today. Thanks for watching. Appreciate you. We'll see you next week with more marketing and business news. Thanks for watching.
Check it.